All right, people, what's up? What's up? I was sitting there having to push the show back because I wanted to go on Coon Thorne's show to hear what kind of content he was going to drop. And once again, Coon Thorne is the delusional, crazy motherfucker that I've been saying he is, always knew he is. And he today is displaying how fucking delusional, cooned out he is. And now he talking about Elijah Muhammad and they're having sex with little girls. He lying, talking about he owns Wingstop. This nigga is crazy. And now all of a sudden, Earl Spence's loss is due to Al Heyman and inactivity. Like, Fred, let me clear that bullshit up and just see how easily we destroy that type of line bullshit, because other creators and chat commentators will use that bullshit as excuse. Because don't forget, there's also the information of Al Heyman and them trying to make Earl fight Keith Thurman. Is that correct? So don't talk this shit about them keeping him inactive. Earl said he ain't fighting nobody but Terence Crawford. And Terence Crawford moved on to fighting Aviesian, further delaying that Earl Spence wasn't going to fight nobody else on the PBC roster. So Fred Coonthorne, this taking your goddamn credentials has destroyed the mindset of this dude. And like I say, and I seen he blocked me too, because he seen the comments coming through. You know, I was shitting on him, having to destroy him. But Coonthorne's a major fucking flawed clown. But he went into praising Bob Arum, who was the subject of tonight's topic, and one of the biggest fellas in history. Now, he sat on his live trying to prop up Bob Arum, when Bob Arum hasn't done anything for none of the fighters over there. And these are young in their career fighters, Coonthorne. So, no, man, the easiness in which I destroyed Coonthorne, Fred, to be exact, barbershop conversations is just so comical. And the providing of material that comes from Coonthorne is the gift that keeps on giving. Let me say what's up to y'all. Roland Curtis says this channel, Barbershop Coon or Khan, says in Blue Blood, says it's about to be live on YouTube at the same time, says talking boxing, and the king of boxing, Bud Crawford, says I would pay to see y'all three debate anything boxing. A debate with me will be an embarrassment. I don't really debate. I'll just kind of conversate and give my opinion, my viewpoints and thoughts, not to debate. Because debating, you see, is just running in the circles. And a lot of times when people minds ain't up to par here, Fred mind ain't fucking shaking right. Some screws are missed and the marbles are shaking. So it wouldn't be a good thing. I would have jumped on his panel, but he don't want to drop a link and he dropped. But he can always jump on my channel. I always drop links for anybody. But I conversate. Debates are for lower tier minded people. I don't really debate. And Roland Curtis says, I mean, y'all three debate each other, says on the same live stream, says, but everybody is across the street. Then I'll go on anybody's channel. But people like to pull blocking and delete you from the chat. I don't do none of that shit. If anybody who hear me talk about them, they can always jump in my chat and say, drop the link, and they can get on and talk shit. I don't cut them off. I don't kick them off the panel. They can say whatever derogatory shit they want over the fucking computer. And we sit back and we let each person's opinions be spoken clearly and freely. Jaquan says, salute my brother. He says, I was listening on Fred and see he blocked you after saying born. Because the show got boring. This nigga just got to talking about it, stupid ass shit. Like, man, when you gonna get on the point? And then he try to point this to Al Heyman for Spence losing. No, buddy, no. Don't turn your credentiallessness into the excuse for losing the fight. This shit was all Crawford. It ain't got nothing to do with Al Heyman. Al Heyman ain't put him on the chef. That's a Bob Arum thing. Al Heyman ain't keep Earl Spence inactive. Nigga came off a car accident and went into 2 straight fights. The nigga begged to fight Terence Crawford. Stop the bullshit. Niggas who lose credentials love to hate their complexion, homie. Motherfuckers hate shadows. Coonthorn is really one of them niggas that hate the shadow. And then Roland Curtis says, and you don't have to debate. Says you can just discuss and have a simple conversation about different boxing topics. I can do that anytime, man. Anytime to run circuits. But a lot of these cats love to hear themselves talk. They love to have their opinions. They think are the world. So it'd be my mind to fucking explode having conversations with certain level-minded people. Don Zebe says, Fred blaming Al Heyman right now. I was listening to that shit earlier. Listen to more of these niggas' lies. Niggas say he own Wingstop. Now he a silent owner of Wingstop. Man, Fred, shut your lying ass. So you don't own nothing. He barely own a car. Andre Jefferson says, Rez, this clown is on live spitting BS. I was listening. Y'all see me in the chat on my other channel? And then he blocked that shit. That nigga hate to have me on some shit because he know I'll be embarrassing. And the Stinger from above says they were giving Buzz his props, but those excuses are coming in hot now. Oh, I've been hearing some people talking about, they said Bud is on Peds, he on this and that. But going back into the guy at the topic of conversation, and that being this guy, failure named Bob. And for the fact that Bob, who was also a guy who spoke about, because remember Fred wanted to live next door to Bob Arum. Remember what you said, Bob? You could have brought a mansion in Beverly Hills. Well, guess what? I moved out there near you. You ain't got no mansion by this dude. But this fool, Bob Arum, making that disrespect towards Terence Crawford, about Terence Crawford has cost him so much money. And for the fact that by staying with what's his cat? By staying with Terence Crawford, this guy couldn't buy him an extra mansion. If he did not sign Terence Crawford, he could have had himself a new mansion built in Beverly Hills. And Terence has cost him so much fucking money. Well, goddamn, how do words bite motherfuckers in their asses? Because right now, this fighter that you spoke this ill shit of is standing on top of the motherfucking world, and you let him go? You let this fighter get away with this ignorance of you, you old ancient motherfucker? And then the same fighter having to sue you, as many other fighters have sued you to get away from you? You got fucking Teofimo Lopez is going in there, who you have undermined, failed to promote, turn your back on it because the kid wants more. And now this kid goes back in there after taking the belts from a champion that you have fucking spewed and built up and talk all this high and mighty shit, that this young Teofimo guy go in there and whoop his ass, suffers a loss, but then comes back and beat another really undisputed champion in Josh Taylor. And you still disrespect this guy, and this guy's ready to sue you, break away for your contract. It's the failure of Bob Arum. But back to Bob Arum speaking about he could have brought a mansion in Beverly Hills if he chose better than to signing Terence Crawford. And now this fucking champion you spoke this stupid shit about has gone about winning every single belt inside of boxing. And you know who holds the ability to earn and grow this fighter is your nemesis, Al Heyman, who's going to grow this fighter and make bigger events and amass more wealth in this kid's pocket. And the problem with Bob is Bob never wanted to ever see this kind of shit. You have seen the Mexican fighter Mikey Garcia leave him and grow financially and as far as viewership. He has grown outside of Bob Arum. I mean, this is a constant thing with Bob Arum. Fighters go over there, they run into these issues, career issues, payment issues, when sticking with the failure named Bob Arum. But when that failure came upon an end, you begin to see the way this respectful fighter goes about his speaking of how he felt about Bob, not behind Bob's back. He may have turned his back to Bob Arum, but spoke these words right in Bob Arum's face.
You know, obviously you're becoming a free agent. Bob said if you know he would talk to you about individual fights. He mentioned Spence,
Anthony Jones, salute.
Taylor. Is there any individual fight out there that appeals to you more than others? And secondly, when do you make the decision? How do you kind of go through it and come up with your decision?
Well, I'm pretty sure my decision is made already. You know, Bob couldn't secure me the Spence fight when I was with him. So how you gonna secure me the Spence fight when I'm not with him? So, you know, I'm moving forward with my career right now, and I wish everybody the best.
Woo, woo, woo. We couldn't have stated that shit more better than I can. It gets no bigger a fail than signing with Bob Arum, who doesn't know what the fuck he is doing in this sport. Yeah, he's been in this sport for all these years and this and that. Yeah, he's been allowed to fuck over a lot of these guys. But what is happening in this new day and age of boxing is a lot of these fighters are developing an understanding for, hey, I need to make a little bit more money because I know you got some shit that's being funneled through your bank account that probably should be in my pockets. And that day and age is dying for Bob Arum. It's dying, along with him as well. That these fighters are demanding, hey, no, I need a few more dollars. You see that even shit problem run over there with fucking Oscar De La Hoya, who wants to function how Bob Arum has functioned, as he has always watched the way in which Bob Arum has operated. Those days are over with, homies. You must adjust to the climate of the area you exist in, regardless if you old as fuck and you can't adjust and become more flexible, then it's time for you to get the fuck out of here. And Bob Arum, idiotic ass, thought he would outsmart Terence, thought Terence could not survive without him. It's almost like that Adam 22 shit. Same fell you see with a guy like him, where he pulls his shit with those other guys. The black guys used to be on this show, and they left his show. Once they dropped Adam 22 show, these back on Fig, AD cats, once they abandoned his show and started their own shit on YouTube, they're doing bigger shit than Adam 22, that no jumper shit. And the failure of his show. He got black dudes fucking his wife now. He done lost himself. And that's ultimately the same shit happening in the world of Bob Arum. Bob Arum has dropped this dude, try to talk shit about this dude, and this dude ultimately getting the last and final say and blowing the fuck up to where now he is the face of fucking boxing. He's almost on the same fucking realm as a Canelo Alvarez with this boxing shit. This dude is magnified, and whenever he makes his next move in the sport, it's going to be his best move. It's going to be a major move, and I see enough more false information about Earl Spence and Crawford rematch already announced. They ain't announced none of that shit. Earl just said he wanted to see the fight. People already making false-ass videos talking about Earl Spence fighting Crawford in December. Ain't none of that shit been fucking finalized or even fucking authenticated. None of that shit. Motherfuckers just love making up bullshit. Salute to Fistiana, says salute to the chat as well. Corey Review says, I'm a casual boxing fan. Says, with that being said, do the fighters have to be signed? Says, or is it better to be a free agent? It's risky. And it depends on who you are. I think it's best for fighters to be signed. You have to have representation. Promoters ain't going to, and this is the give and take. Like a promoter ain't just going to put on events and not make money off of that shit. And it's the thing that, like, listening to these YouTube whiners, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. There's give and takes on both sides. People who finance these things aren't just going to finance things to give you money just to put on an event and just put money in your pocket while losing. That's the delusion of people. Now, boxer can be a free agent, but you got to be somebody to be a free agent and have people to bid for your services. Being the high, your rights go to the highest bidder out there. And that's the risk of what you take. Maybe nobody bites on that shit. Many fighters have taken those risks. It's risky being a free agent, depending on who you are and what you do. Because you're looking to be a big star, you're looking more to be a pay-per-view star. It also depends on where it's boxing as far as where it's rated in the, especially on the American side in the world of competition with sports and time slots on networks. Boxing is heating up, and networks may fucking clamor for the next big event, like put big bids in for that shit. Bud is a free agent. shit, networks are going to be clamoring for him, but also when networks clamoring for him, Bud has to also be mindful of what network serves him the greatest purpose. Now, the zone can offer him a ton of money, but how beneficial is it for him? How many eyes are going to be able to view what he's doing inside that ring? So it's a risk. It's a risk, but depending on who you are, where Bud is, being a free agent and placing the bids for people to negotiate for that shit. But but also with promotional companies right now, where Bud sits, PBC is in the driver's seat with a lot of this shit. The best competition for a guy sitting in Bud's position is with the PBC. His best opposition is over there. And people be trying to say, oh, look at Al losing because one of his fighters lost. That shit don't mean two bits of shit. Because overall, the events is what makes the money, not just the fighters. So all his fighters can lose with new signees as long as they get returns. So all this shit is about returns. And people cried, oh, trying to make money over them. They ain't doing what fucking Bob Arum does. But these fighters are becoming more weary about what their worth is in this game. And a lot of them ain't getting exploited like past era fighters. Singer from above says, Fred just said PBC stands for Pay Bud Canelo. That nigga is bitter than a motherfucker. I was laughing like a motherfucker at that. That's why he blocked me, because I was in there clowning that cornball motherfucker. Monique Hill in the building. Salute to Monique Hill. How's it going, Monique? Did you enjoy that fight? And then G. Royal says it's us. It's the Floyd Mayweather effect. Says Terence has made just as much money. He says without Bob, and us is without Bob versus Bob. Us is without. Oh, so sorry. Has made just as much money without Bob versus with Bob. And then this one fight, he is fucking. Matter of fact, this one fight outside of Bob, he has made more money than the combination of years he's been with Bob. I think in the accumulation of all the checks he's probably received on the Top Rank, I think Bud has probably exceeded that shit with this one fucking fight, with just one fight. And then G Royal says Fred owns one stock share in Wingstop. Laughing out loud. That nigga talking about he an owner in Wingstop. That nigga be lying. And then Mir says Rob Arum a cheap bastard. Laugh my ass off. Bob Arum a super cheap motherfucker. And the one reason behind wanting to be cheap is because the one thing that has held Top Rank above the water has been black fighters. And also with the exploitation of Latino fighters and Filipino fighters, because you get those fighters from these other regions of the world who live off very low fucking currency incomes, and you pay them less to draw fans that coming out to venues to see them. While you collect that, they ain't got the sense of mind to look through books or negotiate better prices, because $1 to a peso or whatever the currency is huge money to them. While Bob Arum and his family just stack their pockets off of the efforts of these other motherfuckers who come from where they probably never ever been to school. They're literate than a motherfucker, well undereducated. They probably deal with management who are exploiters of them and rip them off along with a promoter. So Bob Arum is part of that regime of the fucking world of exploitative industry. And that's just real. Here go Crybaby Jerry, still crying over losing a debate, one of the only debates I'll probably ever do, because he wanted to argue one of the most retarded topics ever. So Jerry says, Fred over there dogging your ass, Roach. Fred ain't dogging shit. He can't dog if he gonna put a block. He can't dog nothing if I write a comment and it makes him a little teary-eyed and he blocked me. That shit don't count. That shit don't work at all. And then Texas Rob says the Bud era, says salute to him, says both for making this historic moment, made a huge, a highly historic moment, bro, a super historic moment. And and ultimately, the Bud era catapults from this moment, not with Bob Arum, with Al Heyman. It catapults, and this motherfucker's he's the face of boxing. I mean, people can't put that shit, even the sports writers, when they want to catapult the NUA, because NUA is deserving of that shit. Bud is on that motherfucker. And for Bob Arum to let that shit slip, for Bob Arum to let this motherfucker get away and talk about how you could have brought a mansion in Beverly Hills if you didn't sign Terence Crawford. Bob Arum, you are the stupidest motherfucker on the planet. You know what position Top Rank would be in Had they kept Terence Crawford, you know Bob Arum was over there fucking flipping over in his fucking wheelchair watching that fucking fight. And to seeing where this kid Terence Crawford is at right now. That nigga is the dumbest motherfucker in the sport right now. It's Bob fucking Arum. He let this motherfucker walk away with 4 titles. You know what 4 titles mean to a promotional company? Having an undisputed champion means for a promotional company. The power a promotional company has with the champion of all the belts. Bob fucked up majorly. And guess what? Terence can go buy a Beverly Hills mansion right next door to your ass right now. And if Terence Crawford keep this shit up, Terence gonna be flying in a private jet that he owned right next to your ass, like the other fighter that left your ass, being Floyd. I mean, Bob has fucked up big time, folks. Big time. I know Boxing says, yo, Red says, what's happening, bro? What's happening, bro? Jerry says, Arum is the best in the biz. From where? Arum, where is he at? I don't see Bob Arum is the best in the biz. Maybe about 40 years ago when he was able to exploit motherfuckers. Because I think back then Bob Arum did a lot of crying like he does now. He crying, bitching the morning because Don King was around the motherfucker, was around that shit. Bob Arum ain't never been the best in the biz. He been good. I ain't gonna dog him. But once he start getting other people competing in the world of boxing with him, what he want to do? Go cry, run to the courts. As long as the FBI ain't in his office running out files, checking on his corrupt ass. So don't hype up Bob Arum around me. Niggas get no love around here because he ain't done shit. I don't know what Bob Arum has done. Texas Rice says Pepper Rice live. I was over there. Y'all ain't see me in the comments. Y'all ain't see me in the comments with the Always Right Reggie Owens channel until he blocked it. And then I know he blocked Jerry ass too. I see your ass get blocked, Jerry. I don't know what you wrote. I know Boxer says that Jerry says Arum says the biggest crook ever in boxing. Facts, bro. Worse than Don King. Thank you. Jerry coming here talking that dumb shit. And he says, I know. He says, yet King is basically banned from all major networks. Says how that works. It's called the Versus. Versus. That's how that shit works, Jerry. Especially with networks. And then Don King, I mean, not Don King. Texas Rob says not sure why folks are saying anyway over Bud. Says 2-time undisputed. Says beats two-time undisputed. Is anyway 2-time undisputed too? Oh wait, no, he ain't 2-time undisputed. Yeah, he about to go up and try to be undisputed. And then I know Boxer says Bob Arum says is always mistreated. Agent Math, damn, Agent Math always sending some shit. I'm live on the fucking phone. I want to see this shit you be sending, Agent Math. God damn. Let me see. Oh, he talking about people talking about drug shit. Okay, I see. But I'm live, Agent Math. And then he says Bob Arum has always mistreated black boxers. Yeah, Bob Arum ain't shit. Motherfucker's crazy. Hyping up trash ass Bob. Like, get the fuck out of here. This nigga is the biggest dummy, the biggest fucking dummy in boxing right now. You have talked all that shit for this dude. You talk all that shit about this dude who is the biggest face in boxing. An undisputed champion in the best division in boxing. And then bound to go do it in another division. Like, Bob, how you fell and dropped that shit? How you dropped the ball on this shit? Didn't realize the value of a fighter you had over there. But you may have seen that shit. You just didn't want that shit to happen. And it happened last night. This motherfucker's a mega star, homie. He's going to buy a mansion in Beverly Hills next to you. Texas Rob in there rolling. I know Boxing says Don King says gets a bad name. Now, Don King gets the right name, but Bob Arum should get the same rap that Don King gets. Don King was a foul-ass motherfucker, and so was Bob Arum. But we all know why, because the factoring, the things that factor into the views of both of these fighters and the treatment of the not fighters but promoters is racially based, but more so because Don King kind of being the more famed of the promoters and being, you know, is out publicly as Don King was. It's probably another reason why he takes more of the flack of being kind of dirty promoters. And Don King was doing some real foul shit, but Bob Arum was doing the same shit. It's just that he's a little bit quieter on this shit. So now says, hey, Jamal, I'm live, man, on my fucking stream. Says because of the skin. Says, and that's the same reason Arum gets a pass. Okay, yeah, you did put that in there. It says Don King gets a bad name. It says because of his skin. It says, and that's the same reason Arum gets a pass. Bing, bing. My cousin on the building, Deuce Time, says, can't believe these guys are smutting Bud out. Says on this fight. Says Bud outclassed him. Man, these dudes, we live in a world of crybabies, cuzzo. Motherfuckers are crybaby. Like I said, I was laughing at Coonthorne, who now wants to blame Al Heyman because Earl lost and Al kept him inactive. No, Reggie always disproved all these idiots and their stupid ass points, because there was a push for Keith Thurman to keep Earl active. Earl said he ain't fighting no Keith Thurman. He ain't fighting nobody else. He's going to fight Terence fucking Crawford. And he's going to make the fight. He's going to get him on the phone and make the fight. So don't blame inactivity on nobody. Inactivity is not the factor of losing this shit. Al Heyman ain't the factor of losing it. And when an Al Heyman fighter lose, it ain't Al Heyman's fault. Al Heyman ain't their trainer. Al Heyman is the guy who makes the fights happen, makes the money go into their accounts. So you crybaby, can't get a passport, hate your shadows, hate everything dark because some way, somehow, selloutism has affected the population of blacks. And that's the real talk. Whether it's blacks who talk about uplifting black consciousness are the biggest haters and dividers of black people. I mean, you look into these religious groups, it's black religious groups that are divided and beefing with each other. Black groups of black identity who are the biggest beefers with black folks. Nigga, you ain't an Indian, I'm an Indian, and you ain't a Moor, and you ain't a foundationally black motherfucker. No, you ain't black no more. It's an Indian nigga, and it's a black motherfuckers got a lot of fucking intellectual dead spaces in their fucking brain. And when they see another black motherfucker, shit starts to bounce all over them. Screws starts to popping and bouncing all over their fucking cranium because there's a lot of loose space in it. And it hits the little small pea-sized brain in there and affect them in proper ways of thinking. Because these heads is full of fucking just loose particles bouncing all through that brain and hitting the parts that function a little bit. But it's crazy. I'm understanding. I'm like psychologists of understanding the things that move society and why society goes so wrong, because we deal with huge populations of stupid ass people. It ain't just the black population. The whites, everything I say about the black population is the same true for the white population. Everything that's true about the white population as well as the black is the Latino community as well. They deal with the shit as well. They're lesser educated segments. Same with the less educated black segments who have too much of a voice and try to talk shit. Takes Rob says I'm at 2 times. Says 2 times beats 1 time. Says that was a typo. Okay, yeah, Bud, but I'm not it. But Bud is definitely over Inoue. Definitely. But Inoue's a bad motherfucker, and it's crazy that to watch those 2 motherfuckers fight in the same week is fucking historic than a motherfucking. And then I know Boxing says they messing with your chat. Wait, who messing with my chat? Nobody's messing with the chat. And then Jerry Tasker says right. Says I guess that lame excuse says did not exist. Says all of the years King was in Boston. Says his own corruption ruined him. Yeah, but Don King was a piece of shit, and it is no defending Bob. I mean, no defending Don King, nor is it defending Bob Arum, because Bob Arum done been raided twice by the FBI, and he got lucky. The FBI didn't continue that investigation because that September 11th shit. And then my cousin says we'll see if the rematch in December is different. And we don't even know when the rematch is. That's what's the name put out a video talking about breaking news, the rematch been signed and all this shit. I don't know why that nigga does that shit. I don't know. I know why. It's for the fucking AdSense and all that other shit that these people put out all this fake ass shit. How the fuck Earl ain't signed no goddamn rematch yet. Motherfucker trying to get over fucking this damn defeat. These fools already running videos talking about the nigga that signed the damn fight. Like, I don't know why Blue Blood does that fucking ignorant ass shit. But then again, I did say we live in a society full of fucking lesser educated ass people and deceptive ass people, conning ass people and shit. To get accurate and true information is just something that doesn't come by. And there ain't nobody reporting that they fight no December. The most that shit came out is Earl asking about a rematch and said he hopes to do it in December if they rematch. He ain't signed shit. His mind can change after looking at this shit and really assessing how he felt and what went wrong and what he can't do. He may not want to take that shit. Even like, them fools may never fight. And the PBC, well, you ain't gonna fight over here. You can go fight wherever Terence Crawford gonna take the fight to. Shit, they probably be on some shit like that. And then I know boxing says that Jerry says Arum mistreated Floyd, Rigo, Crawford, shit, Mikey Garcia. Wasn't Oscar with him for a while? Oscar had to get away from his monkey ass. And he says you probably better wait until those pay-per-view numbers surface. Says being a great fighter does not equal great popularity. Food popular, bro. And just because of the numbers don't mean nothing. This is what happens post to that too, Jerry. And then I know boxing says Bob Arum says was ripping off top fighters. Says go ask Floyd, Pacquiao. Says about those missing dollars. Says Arum took. Should ask Mikey Garcia. And as soon as they get away, they making all type of masses of money because Bob Arum just don't want to see these guys do anything. Bob Arum don't believe in putting the money on promotional shit. He don't believe in spending none of his money. He only believes in collecting on cash flows. Where the money flows in, he's collecting that shit. But investing in the shit, Bob ain't doing none of that type of shit. Jerry Taxter says that I know boxing. Says Crawford was the highest paid welterweight. Says with the weakest resume. Says Floyd was simply not popular until Oscar says got him over. Says learn and speak the truth and not bias. Jerry says Heyman says the guy says that keeps fighters inactive. That's false. Says during their prime. Says and then sees or what is that? And then sends. Oh damn, Jerry, that's you put the wrong word, but I see the word you want to put is next to that S. Says send them into super fights. Says off for long stretches of inactivity. Now a lot of these guys are inactive too. He ain't to blame for Earl's inactivity going to that fight. So y'all can save that shit. No, that's the theme. But Terence wasn't always that active neither. And that Avesian fight was a waste of money, a waste of everything, just further delay the fight. And then I know boxing says Bob Arum refused to get Crawford these fights. Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Spence. Those fights would have made Bud a very popular fighter early in his career. And Bob wasn't going to do that shit. SO City Slick in the building. Salute. Here go Jerry in here defending his brethren, his complexion brother. I know boxing says Bob Arum is just as bad as Don King. Says, but the world bashes King. Says, I wonder why that is. Skin color. Yeah, skin color does play a part. And also a factor in there is that Don King was so much of a public figure. And why Don probably should have played the background, but Don King is such a self-centered, narcissistic ass person that he believed to be in the forefront, to be the figurehead, be the voice. Why he has this, crazy look, which is an iconic look, a recognizable look, but it played into him. Why he's doing all you that much of a public figure and a standout, and you doing all this ill shit to people. Whose careers you hold in the balance. And then he really dealt in a time and age where a lot of these guys were fucking real ignorant on finances. Their managers were ignorant. There weren't many people who knew what they would do business-wise, so they can get away with conning and ripping these people off. And now in this current age, because these kids are coming out of poverty for so long, there's so much information just readily available to motherfuckers at the push of a button. As long as you know how to read, you can read up on that shit, wisen up, and see where shit is going. And now you can also act because you can ask about certain things because there's laws that protect you. Now promoter may get mad. Now if a promoter starts to give some kind of resistance to certain shit, it may make you raise your eyebrows, and therefore you may need to be fucking find a way to exit out of there through the courts. And then that's just the real. And then Deuce Time says, so wasn't a rematch negotiated since during the first contract? Yeah, it's negotiated, but it doesn't automatically mean that you go right into it. You have to activate that shit. And nowhere has Earl announced that he's activated. And now all of a sudden, once again, people on the internet talking about what it never has been announced, but they got all the info and telling people, oh, they about to fight in December and shit. Nigga 9 says, I told you goons that no Jamaican will beat an elite black American / Indian. It is motherfucking negative, Don. Jerry says the numbers mean everything. The numbers don't, because just because the numbers at whatever, the numbers can be a million, but Bud can still elevate off of this victory. He still elevates off the victory. And he can go into his next fight with a meaningful opponent and make stupid amounts of money, because now people want to watch Terence Crawford. A lot of people want to watch Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is a magical, unbelievable motherfucker to a lot of people right now. Deuce Time says, I heard Carcino say the December date. Says Carcino says it's never wrong. It could be December, but that shit ain't nobody who announced that shit. The December date is because Earl said he'd like to get the rematch, and they do it sometime this year, November or December. That's all that was said. Not no date. And SS Silly Sicker says Earl don't want no tune-up. Says Al got nothing to do with his inactivity. Thank you, SF Silly Sicker. But the crybaby Negroes of lacking of this is what it is. It's the crybaby Negroes of no credentials who want to probably try to blame this shit on fucking about inactivity. Al ain't got nothing to do with that shit. It's these fucking fighters. Some of these fighters can't even get back in the ring because they can't make their weight, because they out there doing fuck shit in their lives. A lot of these fighters are fucked up. They get these big paychecks. They start losing their mind. They got the wrong circle of people around them. These are people who are low in weight classes, who are nowhere outside the ring living near the weights they supposed to be at. They out there living these flossy ass lifestyle because these checks done came in for them, and they're eating, drinking, doing shit like we do, you and I, and just eating whatever the fuck we want, blowing up in weight. These boxers are doing that shit because they're hanging around the wrong circle of people who don't come from the same world as them. And then they blowing up, they ain't in shape, they can't take the fight, can't make the fight this day. Why? Because it's gonna take them this amount of time to lose this weight. That's the problem. You don't got many Terence Crawfords out there in the world. And this ain't on no PBC side of shit, how niggas who can't get credentials cry and complain about. And then DeAndre Grant says all Bob fighters end up leaving him after their second contract. And that's a fact. They end up leaving disgruntled because Bob ain't about to do shit for him. Dave 9 says Bob Arum is a wicked. I ain't gonna say about no Jew. I ain't gonna call him all that shit because he be black and wicked. I ain't with the bashing the Jews like that. Says, what do you expect? Like that shit is not cool. I know boxing says plenty of channels are reporting Spence has activated. You know why they reporting that shit? Because they regurgitators. Look at these channels, man. These channels are regurgitate. If they get fed a source from one channel, they go and repeat that shit. They don't go to read where this shit come from, see if other reports are out there. They're regurgitators. And then he says Spence has activated his rematch clause. If so, 154 says will be his best chances. But him and Derek have to come up with a plan. Facts. They got to come up with strategies. You got to plan A, B, C. And Earl has to display this shit in the ring. And they got to bring other people to spar and push Earl. It can't just be Earl and Charlo constantly doing that shit. They need to bring sparring partners into this ring. It's just like you got to elevate your level of fucking preparation for a fight. You can't keep doing what you've always done. Spar with the same people you always spar with. You must bring in other people from around the world that can mimic these motherfuckers, get in there, push your fighter to the limit, make this fighter work on the back foot, showcase different abilities. They got to work on that shit. And they have to do that shit. Got to do that shit. Because if it's a case that Earl ain't strong enough to crack through this motherfucker, Derek, you better plan to throw in that towel. You better in that training camp also implement a plan C of towel throwing. And then Rod 870 says contract call for December 2023. So they move on, so they could move on 2024. And then Rod 870 said they said what they they said that when the first fight signed, he let me know that. It says now if Spence don't clear medical, says maybe they push, and then his medical, what is that? When you get knocked out, what you on, like a 90-day suspension? So what is this? This is already going to August, September, October. They ain't fighting no December. The guy got knocked out. That's gonna be, what is it? A knockout. A knockout suspension is what, 90 days and shit. It's a 90-day suspension. It's gonna take a while for all that swelling and shit to go down to begin with that. All this other shit going on in the body. It says now with Spence don't clear medical, says maybe they push it to January 2024. Yeah, it's gonna be sometime in 2024, but Bud will make move on. And then and I know Boxer says the -9 says watch it Slim, says you're gonna get Red's channel banned. Says you know those people says are protected on YouTube. No, I ain't gonna get suspended because he write that shit about Jews. I ain't gonna get suspended. I don't believe in that shit of fearing saying Jews are telling the truth about them. And then -9 says I was the only one on the internet that said Bud will walk Spence down, says to stop him. Says I was the only one who said that Bud will be the stronger man down. Nah, you ain't the only one said that shit. A lot of the Bud buddies are saying that shit too. A lot of Crawford fans are saying that shit. You ain't the only one, negative. No, I'm sorry to bust the bubble on that. And then Roland Curzon says, Al Heyman probably warned fighters of Don King, so by telling them, if you don't want to worry about the manager/promoter being all in the videos, all on the records, dancing, come to the PBC/Showtime. And that's the home of where shit is popping off at, PBC Showtime. And ain't even the second place ain't even close to these motherfuckers. Second place ain't even close to PBC and Al Heyman. But you get all these dark junkies sitting on YouTube crying and trying to say Al Heyman this, Al Heyman is in the driver's seat. He ain't a Bob Arum. He ain't in Bob Arum level of this shit. Niggas is driving this motherfucking sport. And whether a PBC fighter lose to somebody new coming in there ain't got nothing to do with a bad reflection of the PBC. It's part of boxing. You win and you lose. And they don't got the best of the best boxers. Like, niggas on YouTube are fucking retarded as fuck to me. You niggas are stupid. And then -9 says, and I'm starting to hear more people calling people out for being stupid. I love it. Because it needs to be stated. And then the only other side that makes it only effective because y'all don't call out people from the organizations y'all from. Because some of y'all from these groups who have some of the stupidest motherfuckers on here in them. But more people are waking up that there are so many these stupid motherfuckers in this sport who watch and view and spectate. Just sports, period. I don't care. You can talk about basketball, baseball, and you just see the delusional shit that comes into sports. -9 says death to the juice. -9 says to be clear, says I was talking about the Jews. He write the shit again. DeAndre Grant says and Charlo hurt his hand, so that's why he was inactive. Thurman was waiting on EJ only. Says Gary Russell just came. I guess that he been off surgery. Says, but it's all fault. Sorry, but it's Al's fault. Says, but it's Al's fault. Says, leave it to Freddie. Right, leave it to them. And Gary Russell is the last Negro. Fred be bringing up some of the dumbest names. He brought up J-Rock. J-Rock could have left Al Heyman at any time. He tried to bring him. Remember when fucking Charles Martin got this fight with Big Baby Anderson? He tried to go out and get on live. Remember he did this video? Oh, Al's losing another fighter. Charles Martin is leaving. Charles Martin wasn't that big of a fucking loss to Al Heyman, but guess what Charles Martin said after the fight with fucking Big Baby Anderson? Thank you, Al Heyman, on ESPN. That did Charles Martin said, thank you, Al Heyman, on ES-fucking-PN. Boy, you best believe motherfucking Bob Arum Hart skipped 20 beats from that motherfucker coming over there saying that shit. Thank you, Al Heyman on ESPN. And you best believe Fred Coonthorne had a heart attack. Fred Coonthorne and those types are the types of niggas that throw milk on the glass before looking in the mirror. Peep me. These are the type of Negroes that throw milk on the glass before looking in the mirror because they don't want to see a complexion of themselves as dark. These are the type of niggas that throw milk on the glass to look in the mirror and flash their hands like this. See, niggas is lost, man. It's some strange Negroes inside of America. And then Nano Boxer says -9 says you wild and slim. And then DeAndre said, oh yeah, so yeah, he was correcting that all. And DeAndre Grant says Wilder waiting for Joshua, laugh out loud, but it's our fault. Facts, bro. These fools act like all the inactivity is coming because of Al. You know, these niggas is dumb. Because the reason why they spew this shit is because they can't go to PBC fights. No, you can go to them, but you ain't getting those credentials to go to PBC fights. See, these Negroes want everything for free. No, you on YouTube making money off of their company by running whether a false, true crybaby story you're making off of them, but you think they're going to invite you for free to come watch an event where they're charging a lot of money? No, you going to buy this motherfucking ticket. And these crybaby exploiters, these Don King ass Negroes on here want to exploit and just take shit for free. Like, niggas see through y'all game, fools. And this is why I say, y'all motherfuckers are the last motherfuckers to be invited to any goddamn thing. G Roll says the sanctioning body are going to suspend Arrow for 6 months, says for getting TKO'd. Say sanctioning bodies are known for suspending fighters, says fighters after bad TKO or knockouts. Okay, see, and now Earl, like he's riding, Earl may be suspended for 6 months. I didn't know it was 6 months, but I know about the commissions will suspend you for the 90 days. I don't pay attention to sanction bodies. I don't know if they had that power, but you might be right. So Earl may be delayed. He didn't think he'd go in there and get done like this by this dude. This guy was strong as shit compared to him yesterday. DeAndre Grant says, dude just said he trained NBA MVPs. Who, Coonthorne said that shit? Fred is a lying motherfucker, yo. I be telling y'all. That's why he don't want me to come on that show because I'm exposed his fucking ass. That's why Fred stayed clear the fuck away from me. Because I am the exposer of the truth. And this nigga's a fucking liar. He can't even name you the NBA MVP. Because it got to be somebody out of California. I can find out immediately if he ever named a California, Los Angeles Rays NBA player that he would claim that he made MVP. I can get on the phone and find that shit out within a day, whether or not Fred had anything to do with these motherfuckers. Just because Fred may have trained some kids in elementary school and youth league basketball don't mean him the success to their careers. That is a delusional as fuck. I told y'all that's why that live stream, man, that motherfucker crazy. And people in the chat was in there clowning that motherfucker because they see how crazy this fool is. This fool don't talk no boxing shit. He get on there to try to make this shit, and Al Heyman made Earl Spence lose. How delusional is this dummy? And just to get on there and talk about himself, because he ain't been on here long enough, Andrea's taking that privilege from this nigga because he's crazy. He's going crazy, and she knows that shit. So for the well-being, she's kept this motherfucker off YouTube. And he get back on here on this shit, and he talking more psychotic, delusional shit. The medication ain't working. And then I know boxing says, word on the street says is a tall living in, what you write is a tall living in Las Vegas, says who looks like Puff Daddy, says Spike says Spike Earl Spence Water says before the fight. Says that's what I'm hearing, man. Oh, you talking about me? Talking about living in Vegas? Nah, hell nah. Earl, something was wrong with Earl. I wouldn't say the Spike drink. I think he was riding with some of his homies smoking weed and shit. DeAndre Grant says if he really trained an NBA MVP, says they would have been on his show. Facts, bro. They said these dudes be believing him, shaking my head. And then the fool was over there talking about, says Andrew says must not be home. Absolutely, Andrew probably at her parents' house or at the hospital. This is the other delusional shit. The nigga said He's powerful in boxing. He has all these contacts. But yet he ain't interviewed not one motherfucker since that he ain't interviewed not one person since those credentials been gone. And also since Patty Dean ain't around, because those interviews was coming from Patty Dean and him paying people to come on their interview. Bob wasn't just coming on there like that. Because anytime we seen where he tried to call Bob Arum wouldn't answer the phone. Or he got Bob Arum scheduled for a show. Bob Arum wouldn't show up. Bob Arum was coming on that show as well as all the other guests that were on there through Patty Dean. Sugar Hill goes on there because of Patty Dean. And also what comes with that shit, Fred had to pay these motherfuckers. Like this nigga's a clown, homie. They're a clown cornball motherfuckers trying to act important. And as time went on, time showed him, you ain't nobody, homie. Nobody wants to be around you. He's a clown. It's just simple and plain as that. But back to this Bob Arum shit. Bob Arum, classical failure, and his, kind of the patterns of Bob Arum is failure. Only reason why Top Rank is still there is a promotional company here in a sport for poor men. Here in a sport that many people come from the poor backgrounds compete in. That's the only thing that gives Bob Arum life. But as far as Bob Arum's ability to create longevity with one fighter living out throughout their career has only been done through Pacquiao, for the fact that Pacquiao is out of one of the poorest countries in the world, living off a very low currency, and Bob Arum able to pay this dude crumbs on what he has earned for Bob Arum. And then it's come down that Bob Arum wasn't paying him right, Pacquiao not having tax issues, which is really his responsibility, but also having to where Pacquiao cannot retire comfortably and having to keep on with a career well into his 40s against active, dangerous, young fucking fighters. Because of who? Bob Arum. Al Heyman ain't keep. Pacquiao wasn't inactive under Al Heyman. Pacquiao was active under Al Heyman. So niggas love to be selectively that Al Heyman ain't doing this. No, he's not. He ain't doing this with Gary Russell. Well, Gary Russell, all his whole family signed a PBC and fighting over there. Motherfucking stupid. The Charlo sitting on the fucking bench. Al Heyman keeping inactive. Well, one of the brothers fucking a champion. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about the other brother. This is how dumb niggas is on this shit. The darky Negroes who pour milk on their glass when they go to look in the mirror. Before they walk in front of that mirror, they toss milk on that shit. It's how motherfuckers hate the complexion of themselves and anyone else who looks like it, succeeding in life. These fools is crazy. And this is ones who talk this shit about the Al Heyman PBC side of things. PBC ain't no black company, ain't none of that. DeAndre says, told him, says you been good boys, says you can get on for one night. And then the watcher in the building saying salute. And folks, that's all I got though, man. Like I said, stupid ass Bob has lost the biggest fighter in the fucking sport of boxing. That he said he's lost so much money on, they couldn't buy a mansion. This motherfucker has every single belt that is held at the welterweight division. One of the hottest, most lucrative divisions in the sport. And Bob Arum was nowhere around for this shit. Don't ever speak highly of no Bob Arum when in the presence of a smart motherfucker like me. But before we leave, let me have Terence tell you what he thought about Bob.
Appeals to you more than others? And secondly, when do you make the decision? How do you kind of go through it and come up with your decision?
Well, I'm pretty sure my decision is made already. Bob couldn't secure me the Spence fight when I was with him. So how you going to secure me the Spence fight when I'm not with him? So, I'm moving forward with my career right now, and I wish everybody the best.
Left Bob Arum sitting there looking stupid as fuck. And now Bob watched that fight last night. Woo, Bob. Woo, Bobby. I can't wait to see when the first interview with Bobby Arum comes about. I want to hear how Bobby Arum feels. And then SFC says, it's not Al. Says it's the fighters. They call Al when they are ready to fight, says and gives him and says, and he gives them the options. Al got the fighters making bread, absolutely. And you hear the disgusting dark Negroes of YouTube who love to bash Al because they ain't living like him and they ain't doing what he does. And then DeAndre says, not to mention, says his other biggest stars pay their way out of their contracts. It's like Floyd and Oscar, facts. And then the watcher says Savage, says good for Bud, absolutely. And the other thing, like when you're dealing with Al and the type of fighters that he has brought over there, young fighters who've taken their talents for granted, taking their opportunities for granted, get into drinking, chasing at the hoes, fucking over their marriages, dibbling, dabbling in the drugs, getting themselves caught up in crime or arrest blotters and shit every weekend. They ain't an Al fault. It's some shit he has to manage and juggle around and have shit fall on his shoulders when hearing dumbass information being spewed by bitter Negroes who can't get credentials, who want to run YouTube media channels but aren't really media people. They cry. But you Negroes can go buy you tickets to go watch the fights. But all that shit thinking you gonna get press passes into an event, those days are done. Because you niggas have destroyed that. With all this old fake black patriotism shit brought into fucking boxing. That shit is political shit. Take it to politics. But y'all defend ill-ass politicians. Defend the Donald Trumps, love kiss they nuts, afraid to deal with true bigots. Many of y'all from bigoted rand-ass states, afraid to talk on the bigots, but you bring that shit and want to address it in boxing. You stupid motherfuckers. But folks, that's all I got. I'm out of here, goddammit. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace, peace. Wait. No. I can't leave without playing Coonthorn and his unsurmounted love for his slave master, Bob Arum. Let me go and find this shit of where he wants to move with Bob Arum and how he allowed Bob to ruin his life. Let me see. Where is this one at? Should have had this shit queued up. Let me see. Where is this shit at? Let me see. Where we at? Where is this shit at? There we go. Here we go, folks.
Hey, you know, Bob, do you remember this a long time ago? Do you remember you bullying me and how we started our relationship? Do you remember that, or it's a fog to you? And
no, I'm 90 years old.
Because I tell the story of how we started off on the wrong foot. Well, you being Bob, and you bullied and cursed me out, and I cursed back at you, and then we've been cool ever since. Do you remember that?
Right.
Do you remember that incident?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Bob, man, I totally appreciate you, man. And yeah, I got you, Bob. Hey, Bob, I want to tell you, man, I took your advice, man. Remember how you said I spent so much money I could have bought a mansion in Beverly Hills?
Yeah.
I bought a mansion in Beverly Hills, Bob.
You're a neighbor of mine.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to invite you over and for some coffee or something. But we should have took over power. How was your run? How many miles you do? We should have took over power. How was your run? How many miles you do?